This part we'll first learn to pass data in the opposite way. So we will learn to pass data from the child component to the parents component, which is generally a different thing in React, because most of the time the data or the props is passed from the parent component to the child component. So let's get started. Okay, so this was what we have earlier. So we'll again use this same code base and create a new component, and from there we'll take. Okay, so in the components I'm there, and here I will do parent component .js, parent component.js I'll create, increase the font size, yeah, and RCC, as we are doing class based React only, export, what is this? Okay, export default, export default parent component. Okay, so after that what we are going to do, we are going to have a constructor. So our const is there, and in this we have a state known as parent name. Let it be a string. It is Robin Hood Senior, Robin Hood Senior, like this. Okay, so after that we'll have a function here, and that function will be called greet parent, and it will be a arrow function, so that we don't have to be concerned of this keyword, and then it will show an alert. Okay, an alert like hello, this dot state dot parent name, the same thing, just it will do hello. But this is not that simple. We're just not going to call it from here and do the alert. Then what are we going to do? So what we are going to do, we are going to call a child component from here. So let me just save it first, and then I will create a child component. Okay, so I'm here, component dot js, child component js I have created, RCC again, or maybe RCC also we don't do, because we are not doing much here. RAFCE, functional component, because right now what we are doing, we are not using state or something in the functional component. We are learning the class based component, so we will use functional component only when there is no state. Okay, so here what we have. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me save it first, and let me call the child component from here. Okay, child component. Okay, auto is been gone, so child component, it has been imported. Now I will come here, and in this child component what I am going to do, we are going to get a props. Okay, we are going to get a props here, and on the props there will be a button. So let's create this button. So we want to call that function. Okay, button, they're giving me on click, that is good, and button will be called greet parent, button will be called greet parent, and this props. Okay, let me leave this props now. What will be this props? Okay, so let me write props dot greet handler. So we will be passing a props now. Okay, props dot greet handler is there, and we'll come back here, and in the child component we'll pass some props, and that props name is, see, this props dot greet handler is there, so means the props name is greet handler. So the props name is greet handler, but what it is doing, it is calling this dot greet parent. It is calling this dot greet parent. So see this, when we are clicking this button, this props dot greet handler will be called, and this props dot greet handler is nothing but this is this function. So in a way we are calling the function. So this is why, that is how we are doing the opposite thing. This is known as callback function. So this is a callback function, so we are doing it the opposite thing here. Okay, so let me save it. Okay, this is done, and let me also include this. I want to comment this out because this all I will be giving. So here we will have the parent component. Okay, the parent component will have, let me save it, let me see whether it is refreshed. Okay, so the grid parent button is there. So if I click it, see the alert is coming. So this is what it is, means the alert, the button was itself is in here in the child component, not in the parent component. From here, this we are passing the props as a callback function, and with that we are showing that alert. So this is how this is done, means we are passing back. But there is one more thing, we are not passing any data. Now we will also learn how to pass some data here. Okay, so the data means if you want to pass some parameters here, means just we are passing that function. We want to pass some parameters here, maybe anything, means really the data. So we have to pass it as a props. So but the props we cannot pass it like this. This is also we are calling a function, but we have to use an arrow function, because the thing is that we cannot do something like this, like here we cannot do it like this. So it will not run. So what we are going to do, we are going to do a arrow function, and arrow function will do props dot greet handler, and it will be Sodhi Singh Junior. Okay, like this I have done. And so this, see this is something which I am passing. So this in junior, this is something which I am passing. Now let me go back to my parent component. Now how I will catch this, how I will take this. Okay, so now this greet handler is nothing but when we are calling this greet handler, it is calling this parent. So means this props are this is not a prop, this is just a data parameter. So this parameter will come here also, and it will, we can call it any name. Let us call it child name, and hello, this is parent from dollar just the child name. I'll do, and just me save it, and when I save it, let me refresh it, and sometimes it doesn't get refreshed, and then I will click hello Robin Singh Jr. from Sodhi Singh Jr. So we are technically passing the data also from the child to the parent. Okay, so this is how it is done. Okay, so this completes our, this is known as method as props, passing the data in the opposite way. So now the thing which we are going to learn is the conditional rendering. So this is a very important thing to learn, conditional rendering. There are 4 different ways to conditional render in React. Means sometimes what happens is we don't want to render everything on the screen in the written statement. So let us again look it through an example. It will be much better to look it through an example. So let me comment this out, because we are going to create a new component. Okay, so I am commenting this out, and I will create a new component again. So you'll get all these components, a big list of components you get from me. User greeting.js, user greeting.js I am creating, and again it will be RCC export default user greeting I have done. And then our const is there. Okay, so user greeting is there, our const is there, is a state, this dot state equal, okay, this dot state is already there, this dot state is already there. So the state is known as is logged in. So we are mimicking, suppose a user logs in to a system. So there are some complex logics are there, generally are there. So the login variable, it becomes true or false. So maybe something like that. The login variable is becoming true. Generally it comes from Redux or some other, means Google API or something. So that is there. So this state is logged in is false. So we are having actually two statements. Suppose we are having two statements. So this h1 is hello Bindu, and there will be another h1. It will be hello guest. So hello Nabindu and hello guest are there, and let me include it. So come down here, user greetings. Yeah, so it is auto imported. Sometime I don't like to auto import it, means import it, write it manually. So it is auto imported, so it is done. So hello Nabin and hello guys. So what is conditional rendering? So we don't want both of them to be rendered. So this is the typical case. See what happens when you go to any website. What happens, there is a hello guest is there. The moment you log in, the hello, your name which is taken from your account or from a Google Auth, it is being shown. So we want to mimic that thing. So that's what I am doing. So let me do that. So first way, so the first method which we are going to do is the if way. So we can do it with the if statement also, but generally we should not do, but we'll see that. Okay, so render is there, and whatever we return, that is only shown. So we can have multiple returns in this case. So let me show. If this dot state dot is logged in is there, then okay, it is generally just one statement, so I don't even need the curly bracket. Okay, so return, let me do this, cut it, paste it, and else return of this hello guest. Okay, return of this hello guest. This return is no more valid, so let me delete it and let me save it. So this is the first way. Okay, so the logged in is false though, so return hello guest should be shown. So hello guest is shown. So this is the first way to do it, the if way. Okay, now we'll see the second method. Actually multiple return statements are not good, so the second way is also similar to this, and what we are going to do, we're going to have only one return statement, and for that what we are going to do, the second statement is let message is like this, a variable I have taken message, and instead of return I will do the message equal to, and here also message equal to, like this. I can give anything to this message, and then at the end of this, make sure you're here, I will just have a return of that message, which is a string, so we can return it in a fragment, and it is like message, yeah, just like this. Let me save it, and let me make it true this time, so that we can see that it is working actually true. So this hello Navindu should be shown, and hello Navindu is shown. So this is the second method. So now we will look at the third method, and which is a very important method, because this is the way in which the developer generally prefers, and that is a ternary operator. We use ternary operator a lot in React, especially in this render statement. Ternary operator works very good. So the ternary operator, how we'll do, let me come here, and it is just one statement, return this dot state dot is logged in is there. So ternary operator means this, and if it is this is state dot logged in is true or false, whatever it will be there. So if it is true, I'll show this, or else I will show Okay, let me do one thing. Let me copy it because I will keep this code. Okay, so like this, or it will be like this. So terminal operator, we all know that it is the if else statement. Okay, so it is like this, and what I will do, I will comment this out. Okay, so it is like this. So if it is true, then hello Nabindu or hello guest. So let me save it again, and hello Nabindu will be shown, and if I make it false, hello guest will be shown. So this is a short from C. So much code was there, only one line of code is there, and this has been shown. So this is preferred very much when such simple codes are there. Even if there are multiple lines, you can use this thing in a normal bracket and give it. So even if multiple lines are there, it is okay. So this is there, user greetings. So now we learn about the method number 4. So method number 4 is using the short circuit operator. Okay, so method number 4 is using the short circuit operator, and method number 4 is generally it should be used only when we have just one statement. So it can be think of it's a bit different from there. So short circuit operator is the and operator. It is known as short circuit operator also. Why? Because whenever something, so it is used with two things. So let me show first. Return this dot state dot is logged in. This dot state dot is logged in, and then I will give, and here the thing is that I can give only one statement. So what happens here, why I am calling it the short circuit operator with and then what happens, if this part is true, then only it will go to this part. If this part is false, it will not go. So with that only I can only give one statement. So this will be useful in something in which either I want to show the statement or I don't want to show anything. So this is useful in those cases. So what it is false right now, so means blank will be shown. But the moment I do it true, see what will be shown. So this is for that, and so our conditional rendering is done. So the next thing which we are going to learn is styling React components. Okay, so styling React components, there are actually 4 ways to style React component. One is CSS style sheet, second is inline styling, third is CSS modules, and 4 is CSS and JS library, which is to style component, which we are not going to see here because that is a very big topic in itself. Okay, so let's start, and again I will comment this out. Now I will create save it and create a new file which is style sheets.css. just a CSS, just a simple CSS file, nothing fancy. Primary is color is orange, right? I like this HTML colors. Okay, so primary is there, dot secondary is there, color is blue, violet. Okay, so these 2 colors are there in this thing. Okay, so what we are doing here, we are doing the CSS style sheets first. Okay, so now let me create another component known as style sheets dot js, and it is okay to have a functional component. We are not going to have much classes or something here. Okay, so state or something. Okay, so this is there, and I want to use this. So the way to use it is import, and we don't use any name, we just do it like this: import style sheets dot css. So this is how to use css in React. So the first way is, and the most common way, it is the most common way. Okay, so return is there, and let me div, instead of div fragment I will use h1. I will give h1 class name not equal to app, class name equal to primary, which we have just given, and css style sheets. Okay, and a paragraph tag will be lorem 20. Okay, that is a shortcut, lorem 20. Class name equal to, it will be secondary. Okay, secondary. So let me save it, and I have to import this also. So I'm coming here, and it is style sheets. Here is the style sheets. Okay, so save it. See, it has been shown perfectly. Let me make it a bit bigger, and I'll do one thing now. I don't want this header actually, so it is messing up a lot. Yeah, this is much better. Okay, this is a style sheet, and it has been shown like this. So this is the first way, which is through your CSS style sheet, and the most common way. And the second way, which you are going to see, it is also very common in HTML world also. It is very common, and this is known as inline styling. So inline styling we all do in HTML, CSS, JavaScript project also. So here also we'll do. So one way is to do means let us define it outside only first. Const. So I'm defining it's totally outside. Const. So it is para style, means paragraph style, maybe something like this. So we can use it in a variable again in React, means, and then font size. See, one thing is different from a normal thing is HTML, CSS for inline styling is that we using camel case here. See, font size, it's a camel case, it's not a font dash size, it's a camel case. And the second thing is that the second part, this 20px, it is always have to go to string, and it's an object, so we have to use comma instead of semicolon. We cannot use, we have to use comma. That is also very important. And then the background color, so background color is not like this, background color is like this. Background color is, again, we have to give inside a colon yellow. We have to do. Okay, so these two will do. And let me have some another paragraph here, paragraph lorem 30 maybe this time. Okay, and here we are going to do style just like in HTML style, and we can directly use this para style, okay, which we have defined here. Let me save it and let me go back. See, it has been done. So there is another way to do this, and p lorem 10 I'll do. Instead of defining it outside, I can directly define it inside, and that is more in like a inline style, so not para style. So this bracket is always there in React when we have to show something, so this will be there, and then there will another bracket. So what we're essentially doing, instead of para style, we're directly pasting it here, maybe like this. So color is, but everything will be in one line. Okay, color will be red, then comma, background color will be gray. So like this we can do. So save it and see, this has been done. So this is the second way. So now we will see the third way to do it, and that is known as CSS modules. So they are very important. Actually, in all these things, the biggest problem is that whenever we make the CSS style sheet, it become a global style sheet. So anywhere means in our project, it will be, this primary will be available, which is not a good thing, because this breaks bigger projects a lot, and I have experienced that a lot in the bigger project. This will break a bigger project. Maybe if I directly give h1 something, so that generally those things we should not give, but it generally breaks. Sometimes two different developers give the same name to different projects, or and it breaks all those things. So this will also break. Even I am just importing it here, it will not be just here, it will be global. This style sheet will be global, and in some other component also it will be there. So best way to solve this problem is to declare something in this is only in React, known as CSS modules. When you use the modules, that styles are limited to that module only, but CSS modules .css file, we have to name it a bit differently, and the thing is that we name it like style sheets dot module dot css. Style sheets dot module dot css is something which we will do, and just now it's a normal thing, like maybe header color is brown, background color is okay, I want in the separate line, background color, anything. Let's use something cool, chart reuse. This are cool color names which I know. Okay, so save it. Now how we will use it? So we'll create a component known as module.js. module.js I have created, and now how I am going to, okay, so it is again RAFCE module. Now let me save it once, and I will import it also here, okay, instead of style sheets, or maybe it is also there, module. Okay, so this module is there. Now how I will include this module.css? So there is a different way to include it. It is like, that is the main thing, import styles from style sheets dot module dot css. Style sheets dot module dot css. So this is there, style. So like this. So this style keyword is very important. Okay, the style keyword is very important, and then here I am, and like h1 css module I have given, and again this is very important, class name equal to styles dot whatever is the name. So it was a header, so because it was C, its name was header, so I have saved it. Like now let me save it and see, this last one is from the CSS module. So this is how we use the module, and these are the first three ways. As I have told, CSS in JS library is a very big topic in itself, and you can explore on your own, and I will say CSS modules and CSS JS library are the way to go when you are working in a big project, because this first method create a lot of problem. Second method will not get a problem, but that is scalability is not there in line CSS. Okay, so you should prefer CSS in module, and because CSS in JS library is another thing to learn. Okay, so it is done. So now we'll move ahead, and we will learn about another topic before completing this part. Okay, so that is known as a controlled component. Controlled component are very important in React, because they are actually nothing but the form element. The form are controlled in a different way, and whoever have done a bit of development, they know in a web app, website, or anything, forms are the most important thing. In any web app you go, the forms will be there. So controlling the forms are done in a different way in React than in the normal JavaScript, because of the way React is been created. Okay, so let us do that, and let me comment this out again, and again save it, and I will do demo form.js, and it will be RCC, because we have the concept of states and all those things will be here. Okay, demo form, let's import it. Demo form, yeah, it is imported. Let me save it, and now let me show a image actually first. Where is my image? Yeah, so this, see, controlled component, how it works, we'll learn to the code also, but first I want to tell. See, this dot state, suppose some email is there, and I am doing this in constructor. So, and this is in the render part. Input text value equal to this dot state dot email. So initially it will be empty, nothing is there, and then there is a on change handler here, and this will trigger this dot change email handler. It will trigger, which is a function outside the render we are going to create, and it has got event, and what it will do, it will set this email equal to event.targetable. Event.targetable is nothing but whatever the user types in that input value. So it will be that, and whenever he types something, so this dot set state will be done, and the property of this dot set state is that whenever the this dot set state is done, the component re-renders. So when the component will re-render, the value will come here, this dot state dot email. So suppose I type n, and so suppose I type n, so let's go through it again. The email is empty and it will show empty. So the moment I type n, on change handler will click, on change handler will go here, it will change email to en, which I have typed, and then it will because it is re-rendered, it will again come here, and the value will become n, and it will be shown in the text box. So this is how it runs, and let's now see it with a example which will be much better. Okay, so this demo component is there, and our const is there, and here user name is like this, and here let us have it inside a form element, because anyways we are doing form, so it should be inside a form element, and our div is there, div label. So generally forms are given by label and input, so I am following that. Label HTML for, let us make it username, and the label will go username, and input type text is there. Generally we do this in React, auto completed, and then id equal to, so we'll follow the same thing which we have seen there, id equal to username. So id should be whatever is there in the HTML for, id should be equal to that username. I don't want a name is not required in React world. Okay, the main thing which is required in React world is the value for everything. So value will be this dot state dot username, as we've seen in that example also. This dot state dot username. If I save it here, and I have included demo form. Yeah, if I go back, I will see this, but I cannot type anything. If you can say, I am hitting the keyboard, but I cannot type anything because this form is not re-rendered or something. So again we have to create this function. So on change handler, this dot handle change, the function name can be anything. So handle change, let me give it the handle change, and I will come back here, and handle change equal to, it will take this event, and I can get rid of this also. Only one is there, so I can get rid of this. I don't like it. If it is, there is only one, we can get rid of this, and then just this dot set state will do, and it will have event, which we have just got, event not event, username. So we are changing the username is equal to event dot target dot value. So event dot target dot value, it is there, and this is done actually, and this will follow the same logic which I have told. So let me save it, come back, and now I can type anything, and the moment I type something, it goes through the same cycle which I have told you. So everything else is also same in React, means the text area, the radio box, the checkbox, select. So all these things you need to do it and post it in the comment what is the solution, or post it in the social network. There will be a link where you should post it. I want this as an assignment, so the assignment is to do this. So give the code of text area, radio, checkbox, select. It will be same, only a little bit of difference will be there. And see, all of the radio and checkbox, they are a special type of code even in the HTML, but they works in a different way in your React. So you should know that. Lifecycle methods are nothing but when a React component, when you create a React component, the component goes to several stages in its life cycle, and React provides us built-in methods that we can override the particular stage in the life cycle. So they are known as lifecycle method. So lifecycle method phases. So first is the mounting, when an instance of a component is being created and inserted into the DOM, that is known as mounting phase. So React have that virtual DOM thing. So we create a instance, when the instance of the component is created and it is inserted into DOM, that is known as mounting phase. Then there is the updating phase, when the component is been re-rendered as a result of either change in the props or the state. This is again an important thing. So as I have told earlier also, when we do a this.set state, it re-renders the component, not only the component, whatever is the child component of it, it will re-render everything. So then unmounting is there, when the component is been removed from the DOM, that is known as unmounting, and there is error handling also. Okay, so we'll look into mainly these two, unmounting and updating. They are the most important one out there. Okay, so after that, let us come to lifecycle method names. Okay, so mounting, the lifecycle methods names in the mounting are constructor, get derived state from props, render, and component did mount. Updating, so this lifecycle method also kept on changing from the time React was there from 2015. They have changed a lot, and these are the latest one. Okay, then there is a static. In updating, we have static get derived state from props. Again we have that. Then we have something known as should component update. Then we have render. Then we have get snapshot before update, and component did update. Unmounting, we have component will unmount, and error handling, we have some get derived state from error, and component did catch. We generally don't use this that much. And then let us first, we'll do mainly, as I've told you, we'll do two things. One is this mounting lifecycle method, and one updating lifecycle method. So let us do the mounting lifecycle method first. Okay, so the mounting lifecycle methods we'll do, and in that, so we have this first, the constructor is been called, then the get derived state from props has been called, then the render method has been called, which we have just seen a lot of time. Constructor and render method we have already seen. and then the component did mount is called. Means when the component is completely rendered, then this special method component did mount is called. Okay, so what are the uses of these methods? We'll see now. So the constructor, what is a constructor? Constructor is a special function which is been called whenever a new component is been created. Okay, the constructor is perfect for initializing state and binding event handlers, but don't do HTTP request from the constructor. Okay, you should not do that. You need to call a special function super props. We have already seen that these have access to this dot props in our component. That is a reason, and can set state directly with this dot state only in the constructor. This dot state, we have seen that this dot state we are doing in the constructor is not allowed anywhere else. So the next thing which we will see, it is get derived state from prop, and I will say this is a rarely used lifecycle method. It is used on the state of the component depends on the changes of the state. Changes in the props over time, but we rarely use it. Need to return new state or null. Okay, that is required. We will see that in the code. And again, don't do HTTP request from this method. Render, again, it's a must. It's the only required method. Even a constructor you cannot, if you don't want a constructor, you should not give it. But the render is a required method because it read props and state and return the JSX. So that JSX has been done through the render. And again, don't change the state or interact with the DOM or do HTTP request from render. It is a big no-no. And children component lifecycle methods are also executed after render. So whatever children you give, that will run from the render itself, and that we are going to see. And the last one, which is a very important thing, actually we have not learned about it till now, component did mount. This method will be called only once. That is very important thing to know. Only once. It is been invoked out of the component and a child component are rendered now. As we have seen in the first diagram that it is been called after the render. Not only after the render, if there is a child component, it will be called after that. And this is the perfect place to interact with the DOM or do HTTP requests like API calls and all. Children component lifecycle method are also executed after render. So we will better see it in a code. Now we'll see it in a code. Okay, so here we are. Again, let me comment this out. Demo form. This is from earlier part. Okay, so now the component which we are going to do is parent lifecycle.js. we are going to do an RCC is there, export default parent lifecycle r const. It's again a shortcut, and in this dot state we'll have name parent lifecycle. Just parent lifecycle I'm writing in the name. Okay, so and within this this sort of state only console log I will do, and I will say parent lifecycle, because constructor is also a lifecycle method constructor. I will say this. Okay, the next thing I will do, I will have all this mounting lifecycle methods and write all of them. So static get derived state from props. Okay, it is giving me, and it takes two parameter, props and state. You, as I told, it is rarely use lifecycle method, so you should not learn much about it. Okay, parent lifecycle method and get a derived state from props I will give. Okay, and then component did mount I will do. Component did mount, again parent. Okay, it is giving me, okay, parent component. Okay, component did mount I have done, and now the renderer will do. Okay, so in render again, let me, I don't want this much, let me make it just an h1 here. Let me do this h1 in a line. Okay, just a parent lifecycle method I'm doing, and again I have to do a console log, because everything I'm going to show the sequence through console log. Okay, let me save it. I missed one thing in static. There we have to return something. Return null. I will do the return null. Okay, so this is been done, parent lifecycle method and all. So have I included it? No, I have not included it. So let me include it. Parent lifecycle, just like that. I will include it, save it, and I will go back here, inspect, console, remove it. Okay, let me do a thing. Okay, so now as I told, the way it runs, we'll see that. And let me go back here. Okay, mounting lifecycle method, as I told, constructor will run first, then static get derived first state from component, then render, and then component did mount. Let's see whether we were right. Constructor get derived state from, then render, and then component did mount is run. So now we'll see for the what happens if there is a child component is there, what will happen. Okay, so let me create a child lifecycle components. I'll come child life cycle.js I'll do, and rcc again, export default child lifecycle. And what I will do, I will copy paste from parent, because it will be almost similar. Okay, let me do on one thing, r const I will do, and here the name will be child lifecycle. Let me cut it, and now this all will be same. So let me copy it. It's better to copy it. Only the thing which I want to change is here. Okay, so yeah, so these two are done, and similarly we will have this render. So render is okay. I'll write the render. So render also, again we have to do a CLG of child lifecycle render I will do, and again I will do a h1 of child lifecycle h1. Remove this. So this is done. Okay, I forgot to do one thing. There is a console log here also, just like here we have a console log here also, or else I will learn the constructor is there. Okay, so I have done this. Now we have to include it in the parent. So let me go back to the parent, and h1 is been done here, and here I will call the child lifecycle. It is been imported. Yeah, it is imported, but it is giving me error because both of them are ending with a different thing. As we know earlier, either I will have to wrap it with a div or a fragment. It's better to do with a fragment. Fragment is not done like this, and fragment, let's try. So let me save it. Okay, so now we have a parent lifecycle also, and we have a child. After this we have a child lifecycle also we are calling. So now this will be different. Now see what will happen. Parent constructor is called, then the get derived state from props is called, then the render is called. Okay, then the component did mount is not called. As I told, after the render, again the constructor, it will go to the constructor or a child. Then the get derived state from, then its render is called. Then after the child is been done, so the child is completely done, then only it comes to the parent, and the component did mount runs after that. This is a very important concept to know, because the component did mount, as I've told earlier, it's a very important lifecycle method, because we do the HTTP call here. So this is one of the very important things to know. Okay, so this is done. Now what we are going to do, we are going to look into the updating lifecycle methods. So let me come here. So updating lifecycle methods. So updating lifecycle methods, first thing, it occurs when the state or the props has been changed, then only it will occur. We have a state variables in both. We are going to use that in that now. So it has got that the way in which it is run. So again the way in which it will run, again the steps in which it will run is get derived state from props will run first. Okay, this was there in our mounting lifecycle auto, so this method will be run. Okay, the component did mount doesn't run, it runs only for the first time. Then the should component update, this is a new method which we are going to create. Should component update will run, then a render as usual it will run, get a snapshot before update will run, and component date update will run after that. So these three are the new methods, and let us learn about them a bit. So get derived state from props, we already know this is every time the component is re-rendered, this is run. This is a rarely used lifecycle method, and don't do HTTP request from this method which we have learned. Okay, and then should component update, this is a bit important method, decides whether a component is re-rendered or not. So sometimes what happens in React, a lot of re-renders happen. So this will not impact a small project, but the big projects in which I have worked, it impacts a lot. The speed of a project gets reduced a lot, and in these cases we use should component update, in which we can pass the logic that should the component be updated. So there can be certain component which we should not update even if the state or the props are changed. So we use it in that place, decides whether the component should re-rendered or not. This method is mainly used for performance optimization. As I have told earlier, do not use HTTP request from this method. And then updating lifecycle methods, we have render. Again the render is there, it's the only required method, and props and state and return JSX, don't change state or interact with the DOM or do HTTP request from this render. So we have learned about it earlier. Then there is get snapshot before update, called right before the changes of the virtual DOM are reflected to the DOM, used to capture some information. DOM example can be used to read the user's scroll position. Method will either return null or return a value. Return value will be passed as a third parameter to the next method. Okay, so this is sometimes used when we capture some information from the DOM. Okay, so this is used, but I have also not seen it used much. Okay, so then the thing is that component did update is there. So this is one of the most important method in our updating lifecycle phase. So this called after render is finished in the re-render cycle. So as I have told, component did mount don't run, but this one runs, is finished after the re-render cycle. Use a snapshot from the above get snapshot before update method. If it is not there, it will not use. Can be used to do HTTP request again. So component will run. Okay, so component did mount is there. Okay, so let us now see it through a example. So you will use the same example, but just will add those 2-3 methods we are going to add. The 3 new methods we are going to add. Should component update, and again parent lifecycle and should component update I'll give, and it return, we have to return a true then only the next method generally works. As we have seen, this component did update and all those works before that. Should component update, you should always return a true, or else this anything won't be rendered. So if you don't give this should component update, it is by default it is true, but if you give it, you have to return something, and this is where the logic happens mostly, but in this case we are not seeing that logic. Okay, so get snapshot before update we are going to do after that, and priv props comma priv state we are going to do, and again console we are going to do, and here yeah, get a snapshot before update, this is cool, and return null, and the most important method which I was telling is component did update CLG, and component parent lifecycle component did update. And now what we are going to do, we want to change the state actually. So how to change the state? As I've told, either some prop should be passed or the state should be changed. So the best way is to change the state. We'll have a button and change the state here. So here let me have a button, I will say change state, and on click is let us change the state directly from here. Who will write another function, this dot set state, yeah. So then this was set state name, but I don't want to keep the same thing, or else how will you understand? I will write my website, my brand name, the web dev is there. Okay, so this is done like this. Let us have these methods, these three methods in our child also, child lifecycle also. I'm coming here giving these three methods, but how I will differentiate again? So yeah, it is there, so save it. So now we are done. Okay, so now let me go back, remove it. So the first time I will do, this is the same thing which is running earlier also. Let me remove it. The mounting phase just ran, and now I will run the updating phase. So updating phase is, again let me show this. So static get derived static from props has been run, then should component update is run, and then the render is run. Okay, then the render is run, then get, see we have a child also, so I'm directly showing the child also. So after the render, as we know, the child is run, so the child get derived state from props from the child is run, and should component update is run, then and the child render is run, and child get a snapshot before update is run, and then the parent get a snapshot before update. So it's a bit to and fro it is doing. So get a snapshot before update is run, that parent get a snapshot before update is run, then again it goes to the child component did update, it is run, and at last again the parent component did update is run. So this is the complete thing with the parent and child thing. Okay, so this completes our lifecycle method. I know they are a bit tough, but you should go through it again, and because of these lifecycle methods or complications only, we in hooks it was made very easy. Okay, so that is for a different time. Okay, because the basics are very important. React class-based component is the basics of React. You should not move to hooks before learning React class-based component, because even the projects which have started in 2020, I started it with a class-based component. That is a very important thing to know. Okay, so we will move ahead from this lifecycle methods So now we learn about something known as refs, which is very important. So refs make it possible to access DOM nodes directly within the React, and accessing the DOM node is sometimes very much required. Actually, it is not advisable to access the DOM in React because the concept of virtual DOM is there, but sometimes some of the logic are there which are still with the DOM, and for that the virtual DOM is not capable of those logic. Sometimes some external thing also you have to load. For that also you use refs, and sometimes some logics are there, as I've told. It is not there in the virtual DOM yet, and it will not be there. So let us do that, and for that let me create a new component known as refs demo.js. RCC export default refs demo, save it, refs demo is there, then our const is there. Okay, so what we are going to create, we are going to create a focusing text input. Focusing text input by default means whenever the forms load, their cursor will be in the input, so that we are going to make, and that is not possible with our virtual DOM. So let us have an input type text, input type text I have done. Okay, so here this is what state. We don't use this dot. This is a sort of the replacement of this dot state also, if you can think. So let me save it, and yeah, I have included it. So I have this thing. Okay, this is there. Okay, input type text. Now I will use the ref. So for that, in this ref, the first step is to do it in the constructor. This dot input ref equal to we can give any name here. It's like that. This dot state was there. This dot input ref, we can give any name here, and it is react dot create ref. Create ref, which is the important thing. It's a function like this. This is the important thing. With this we can create the ref. Actually ref also gone through a lot of changes, so this is the latest. React dot create ref, and then we will have a component did mount. Component did mount will have, and inside this we'll have this dot will let us first see console.log this dot input ref. Let us see that first, what it is there, and we have to attach it to it. Okay, ref equal to this dot input ref. We have to use it like this. So instead of a state and value and all those things, we generally use it like this. Ref is this dot input ref, whatever is the name here. Let me save it and come here. So see, current, this dot what is this? This dot input ref is current and input. So we are getting a hold of this current input, and the current input have all the different things which we can use from the DOM. So this is not available in React. From the DOM we can use now all the different things we can use, and we will use something known as, okay, let us come back here, and here there is a current is there, and current have something known as focus. So we'll use that. This dot input ref dot current dot focus. focus. This is the method which we are going to use. So the moment the component did mount is done for the first time, so this will be running, and let me comment it, let me refresh it. See, the moment I refresh it, see, by default it is coming, the focus is coming. It doesn't comes by default, and this is a very important thing. See, if a form is there, we want whenever the user comes, by default it should go to the username or somewhere. So this is a very important thing to do. Okay, so this is done. Our actually ref is done. Okay, so there are many other examples which you can see. Okay, so now we will look into another important concept in React, which is known as context or context API. So what happens in React, sometimes there are some values are there which we have to pass from one component to another, and in React what happens, see what happens if you have to pass value from one component on a top level to another component at the 10th level, or maybe something like this. App component is there, we want to pass some username value, we have to pass it to the C component. C only component C uses it, A and B doesn't use them. So what do we have to pass? We have to pass through A and B also unnecessarily. We have to pass it through the props through A and B also. So this is sometimes redundant code, and we should not use this thing. So there is a way. So it's a small thing, okay, we can use it, but it is a very big thing. We use something known as context. Redux is also there for a state manager, but that is for bigger projects and all, and that is completely a different topic, and that's for some other time. And so what happens in this, we can use context in this place, so that we can pass some props from props is nothing but some data from app component direct to component C. So this is what we are going to see now, and now let me comment this out. And now let me save it, and I will have a so I am here. I will have a child.js rcc export default child. Okay, so it will have nothing but it will tell it is a child component. Yeah, it will say it is a child component. Then after that I will have a parent. Okay, parent.js, and again rcc export default parent. Okay, so this is like this. Then here let me return the child. Okay, it is not giving me. Okay, not an issue. Okay, it is giving actually child. Yeah, so import child from child. I am returning the child, and now I will have a grandparent. Grandparent.js rcc export default grandparent. Okay, so in this grandparent, again I will return this parent. So the order is there, grandparent is returning parent, parent is returning child. So parent is there, and as you might have guessed, okay, let me do one thing. Let me take it in this order, and in app.js I will have the grandparent. It is done. Yeah, grandparent is done. So let me save it, save the grandparent, and now we will come, means if we can see the child component is been shown. Okay, so so the thing is that we want to, as I have told, we want to pass the data from one directly like this, from app, from component to, we want to bypass the mid components. Okay, so we have created something like that. So for that we will use the context. So for that context we have to first create something known as use a different file in which we will create the context. We will create user context.js, user context.js, and this is not a React file exactly like this, the class based component or something. Okay, I am import React from React will be there, but see, hold on, it is not like that. No, not a class based component or something like that. Const user context equal to React dot create context, React dot create context. So again, this is there from React dot create context, and const user. So we have the concept of provider and consumer. From wherever we want to pass the data, it is provider. From wherever we want to receive the data, it is a consumer. User provider. So we are creating that user provider equal to user context dot provider. Okay, and const user consumer equal to user context dot consumer, and we have to export them both. Export user context and provider, whatever in the order. So no, user context or provider, no, user provider and user consumer we want to, because we are using this user context here. So we are exporting both of them. Now how we will use it? So in app.js we will go and see, this grandparent is there. We'll wrap it with user provider. Okay, and user provider will wrap it with, so user provider is also taken. Okay, so user provider will wrap and it have to go inside. So it is not a default export, so that's why it took the curly bracket. Okay, so user provider is there, and here we pass the props type of thing, but it is not known as props. We will give the value and we can pass anything in here. So I will pass Nabendu here, a user provider value Nabendu. So this I am passing. Okay, so now what we are going to do, there are actually two way to consume in the consumer. The provider is having a one way only, but in the consumer we have two ways. So I will look into the two ways. So first, the complicated way we will look. Okay, so I have saved it here. Let me use it in the child component. I will use the name. So here the render is there and the return is there. Return is doing this thing. So the first thing which we have to do is to wrap everything with the user consumer. User consumer will do, it will do. So let me remove this, because this is actually some concept known as render props here we are using. So user consumer, I will wrap everything, then I'll have this curly bracket, then username. See, the one more thing to tell this, see, here I have given the name value is very important, but here we can take any name. Okay, username I am taking, then like this, and then inside this return like this. Okay, h1 it's not taking, h1 h1, the child component, the word which we have earlier, child component. Okay, the main thing is now how we will get this. h3 hello, see this username. Oh no, we don't want this double thing, just a single thing is sufficient. Okay, so hello username. So this is how what we are using, the username which is Nabendu here. So let me save it, and if I go here, see hello Nabendu is been done. So this is how it is done. Okay, so this is the first way. So now even the means as you can see, after app there is grandparent, parent and child. So we are bypassing this grandparent and parent, which directly use it as a child with this method one. So let us, even the parent is 2 level deep, so we'll use it in the parent with the second method, which is much easier. See, the problem with this method is that if you want to pass some other props also, see the consumer, you will again have to wrap that thing here. But what will happen here, the render props will complexity will increase. So there is a second method which is preferred nowadays for that, but we have to go first here and we have to do another export here. So we have to do a default export also, export default let default export this user context, and the default export this. Now we'll do it in the parent. So here let me do this import yeah, user context from user context. Okay, so it is right, so I've imported it. So now what we do, there is keyword known as static. So static, so this, all these things are keyword. Static context type is also keyword. So the word should be exactly like this, everything is a keyword here. Static context, not types, it is type. Static context type equal to user context, just user context, we don't have to write anything else, just the user context we will write. And then here child is there, or it's okay, child, let child be there. Okay, let me wrap it in a fragment because I will require a statement, other statement also. Okay, so here I will have h1 parent welcomes, and here this dot context, just I have to write this dot context, I have to write this dot context, and it will be done. So all of these are keywords here, context type, user context. Anyways, user context is not keyword, but we are using it from there, and this dot context will have that thing, means the internal logic is like that. Let me save it. See, parents welcomes Nabendu, so the Nabendu was passed. So this is how it is done. So this is what is known as context API. We will finally learn to do HTTP request in our project, which is a very important capabilities for any project, because you will front-end code generally connect to the back-end code with APIs which are created. So the thing which we are going to do means is using a request thing known as fetch API, because React doesn't have any HTTP capabilities. We add it by external libraries like Axios or the built-in fetch which is there in the browser. So what does that do means, suppose this is a web application which is a React app, then we have a HTTP library is there like fetch API we have, and it will send the request through this HTTP library to the server, and the server, from the server will fetch the data. Again the HTTP library will come here, and then with props or state we will use it. So this is how the flow will work. So for this I have actually created a new project with npx create react app http react http, and it generally takes some time, so I'm not showing that. So react http, I will go and I will start it with the code. Okay, and so it's a plain React project. So let us come here, don't want to change much, app.js. Let me remove something here. It's good to remove these things, not changing much. Okay, so this thing I am removing. Let me save it and npm start. I will start it. So let's start our project, and what I am going to do, okay, so in the src let's have a, as always, components folder, and inside the components we'll have something known as a file known as post list.js. So there are two type of requests. One is the get request to get the data, and another is a post request to post the data. So post list.js, we will first run the get request. Okay, so rcc export default post list, export default post list I will do, and here, and our const is there, which will create the state, and we'll have a state known as posts. Okay, now we'll have a component did mount, but the thing is that component did mount will be async. So let me write async component. We are using async keyword because we are going to use await inside it. So this is a way to make a async component did mount. Okay, so const url. So we will use the famous JSON placeholder. So let me come here and JSON placeholder. Okay, free fake API, it is like that, and we will try this post one, so which gives us 100 posts, and whenever we hit this API endpoint, so this is not a normal endpoint, this is an API endpoint. This is how it is done in the from the backend side. So they have created with some backend thing, maybe Node, maybe Java, or something else like that. So it is giving us an array of objects. So we'll use this API endpoint and get the data in our front end React app. So URL will be like this, posts, and after that in the fetch API, so we are doing the get. So we want to get all those things. Const res equal to await. So so if you want to know more about it, go back to that async await series. Okay, fetch async is URL. We'll fetch the URL, and then const post. Actually fetch API required two awaits, so this is the way fetch API works. Const post equal to await, and rest.json is there. Okay, rest.json. Let me console log it. Posts, I will console log it. Let's see what is coming in this post, and let's just give a, right now return a, maybe a h1, just list of posts, just an h1. Save it, and if we go back, okay, we have not even included it. I think, yeah, we have not even included it. Post list is there, so we have included it. Now if we go back, this list of post is there. Let me do a inspect console array of 100. Okay, so we are getting everything back here. It's the same thing which is there, we are getting it back, array of 100 objects. Okay, so now we are going to show it. So this is the main part. Showing is generally done through the map. So the thing is that, okay, so we have a state known as post. So, and this console log is also post, so you can write something else also, it doesn't matter. Here we are going to do this dot set state posts is posts and due to ES6 I can remove this because both of them are the same name, so I can just write it like this. Okay, so after this I have the post in a state variable. We will loop through it. So there is a thing known as we first check whether the post is there, because React is very fast. It will render and it will not get anything because this API call will take 1 or 2 seconds and it will give us error. That's why we are first checking that the post is there, and then we are checking post dot length is there, some length, because the array have a length of 100, so that we are checking. So instead of it will not run when it is the empty array, and then we will do post. So this is how it is done. Post dot map, post dot map, post. Okay, so it is a single thing. Okay, let me do it like this. Div. So just a div. Yeah, and key is very important. So let me first do just let us show the post dot title. Okay, post dot title we are showing, but there is a key thing which is required here. Okay, key equal to post dot id. Post dot id is there. Okay, so did you saw the issue? What is the issue here? Okay, I can also remove this because we don't need this also. So the issue is that both of them are not starting and ending with the same thing, so it means we have to again wrap it in a fragment. Okay, post is not even okay. Yeah, we missed one more thing. So here either we could have used this dot state dot post because there is nothing like post, or we can destructure it. It's okay, so we'll destructure it. Const posts equal to this dot state. Okay, this is how we destructure it, and now everything we are getting, everything, the title of everything we are getting, those 100. So this is how get request is done in a simple way. So now we will look into the post request, how the post request is done. See, you go on a Facebook and there is, you write anything and you click on the post, so a post request goes. Actually the post request goes and it posts your whatever you give, and it stores in a database. We're not going to the database right now, so just we're seeing the post, that is through a post request. Okay, so create a new component, post form.js. okay, and again it's a RCC, and export default post form. Okay, save it, and now again our const. Okay, and this state, it will have 3 state variables, and those state variables will be user ID, it is a empty string. Second is title, it is an empty string. Third is body, it's an empty string. Okay, now these 3 other states. Now we will again don't want to do the same mistake. Let us deconstructure it. Okay, equal to this dot state. Now we'll return a form here because we have to take the input from the user, so we need a form. Okay, a form we have created, and a div will be there, and inside a div we'll have a input box. Let us keep it simple. Input type is text, but since it is a React thing, we are going to, let me close it first. Name, let us have a name also, name equal to user ID and value equal to user ID. Okay, so it is cool. Okay, so similarly I will have for title also, and I'll have for body also. These two things will have. Okay, so this is done. Let me come here and do the import the post form. Post form, I have imported the post form, save it, go on to the post form. So this is like this, input and all is all are there, and let me have a button also. Button is there, and it will be submit, and it will be type equal to submit. Type is submit, so we can do the enter also. So now we will have as in React, we have to have an on change handler on all of them. So the one thing is that we can have a different on change handler, but we are going to use a very cool thing by which we can have a single on change handler. Okay, so on change equal to this dot handle change. Here also on change equal to this dot handle change, and here also on change equal to this dot handle change. Okay, this dot handle change is all that replaces. Now the thing is that we will have another, let us first have this on change handler. Okay, on change we'll have, okay, so this handle change, let us write this handle change here. Handle change equal to E, we will get the E in the function, arrow function, this dot set state, and here we are using, we would use something known as computed value, because as you might have seen that, okay, I don't want it like this, we have taken the same thing everywhere, so we'll use something known as computed properties, which helps us get the dynamic thing. So here it will have E dot target dot name. So we have the name same for some reason. See, it is the same as value, so it is for some reason, for this reason only, and it will be E dot target dot value. So this is done. Let me save it, and so all these are done, and see, we can write anything. Okay, so it is done. Now the thing is that we have to use create the submit. So handle submit we will create, and handle submit is generally not created on the button, it is created on the form because they take it from there. So in the form, on submit will be there, on submit equal to this dot handle, we'll create a new function handle, so handle submit, and let us go up and create the handle submit equal to, so it will do the async task, so it is async E, it's an arrow function which is taking the E, and it always have this E dot prevent default, E dot prevent default will be there, so that it doesn't refresh the page, and then const URL equal to, so this URL will be the same URL, this post, actually they have the same URL for post also, they have created it like that. So I will come here, paste it, but the logic will be totally different. Okay, there is something known as settings. When you do a post, there is we have to pass the settings also. Actually, this is only there in the fetch API. Access is much more simpler, but it is inbuilt. We didn't did any npm install or something for that. That's why nowadays people prefer fetch over access for that region also. So here we have to give the method as post, and then after that we have to give a headers. So you don't need to learn this thing, you can copy paste it from anywhere except is application JSON, which is the format which is it is always, and content type is also there we have to give the content type. So all spelling and all these things are very important. Content type is also let me copy it from above only. Content type is also application JSON. Okay, and then the body there will be a, so this is our object, so I have to give the comma. Body is JSON dot stringify, and what we are stringifying? We are stringifying this dot state. So this is state contains everything, means all these things is contained in this state. So we are stringifying this thing, and then after that we will use the we'll pass this now. Okay, so we can use a try catch also. See, generally we should use try catch. Okay, try catch, if some error is there, it is good to we're going to use async await, but we should use it inside a try catch. It is a good thing to do. Error. Okay, and const res equal to await fetch, and here we have to pass the URL comma settings also we have to pass. So this is what is there in the post. Okay, then we have to do const data equal to await, const data equal to await res dot json. Again res dot json we have to do just as early we have to do, and we don't have anything set up for. See, post require a lot of things, like a database on all those things are required, which is beyond the scope of this chapter. So data I will do just the data I will do. So let me save it now, and here the post form is there. Okay, so I am here, and let me open the console to see if everything is okay. Okay, value is not required. Okay, it's okay. Okay, Bendu HTML basic, and this is HTML basic. Okay, if I do, see, after some time it has gone there and it has done. So this is how the post also works in React.js.